Om Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahi Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om परम परस्याः प्रकृतेरनादिमेकं निविष्टं बहुधा गुहासु सर्वालयं सर्वचराचरस्थं त्वामिव विष्णुं शरणं प्रपद्ये. So here we are now looking at the first verse of this text, Paramaartha Saara. We already saw that this text is attributed to Adi Sesha, or the Adi Sesha Avatara, who is Patanjali. So Patanjali is supposed to have also written Charaka Samhita. The Charaka and Patanjali are also identified as the same person in the tradition. So for the body, physical body, Patanjali is supposed to have written a text, Ayurveda text. Then the Yoga Sutra is also uh, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, which is very famous. So that is for the mind. Then for the Buddhi, Patanjali has written the Mahabhashya also. So since he has written all these things, but he has not written anything about the ultimate truth, which is the Atma. So they say that Patanjali then wrote this Paramaartha Saara. So like this also there is one view that Patanjali is the author. Like I said, but we have no way of knowing exactly. This text actually also has a commentary by one Raghavananda, who is the Sishya of Krishnananda. Again, this Raghavananda, when did he live? We have not much idea. He is also supposed to have written a commentary called Krishnapadi on the Bhagavata. Even whether that commentary is now available also, I don't know. We have to see whether anybody has published it or it is still in the manuscript or it is lost. But this Raghavananda's commentary is available for this Paramaartha Saara, and that has been published actually in 1911 itself. There is a Trivandrum Sanskrit series. So a lot of Samskrita books have been published from Thiruvananthapuram when the Raja was ruling, correct? The Travancore Rajas were ruling. And one Ganapati Shastri has collected manuscripts from different places. And then they have published this particular text. One interesting thing which I noticed there is Ganapati Shastri has got one manuscript from our village, Kalidai Kurichi also, which is a very interesting thing. One Ranga Upadhyaya, Ranga Vadyar was living here at that time, who is supposed to be have been a big Pandita, I think. So they have got a manuscript from him, although that manuscript was not very good. He actually uh, rejected it, but still there was a Pandita in our village, Kalidai Kurichi, which is my ancestral village and also which is near this Kaldai Kurchi only. Now we have this Gurukulam which we have now. We are under construction. So this Rangavadyar also had one manuscript of this Paramaartha Saara. In fact, he also in another book also previously I conducted classes on the Adhyatma Patala of the Apastamba Dharma Sutra. For that also there is a commentary by Adi Shankara. And even there they had got one manuscript of that from Kalidai Kurichi. So that means there were many manuscripts with that family, I think, but I am not even able to locate that family today. Who are the descendants of this Rangavadyar? There is another Rangavadyar also there, but whether he is the grandfather of that Rangavadyar, we have to find out. Anyway, that is a separate thing. So what I am saying is this Paramaartha Saara has a commentary by Raghavananda, and that commentary is useful. Okay, so I will be reading that commentary myself, but we will not go through word by word that commentary. So here, one more thing is this first verse which is there, which is the Mangalaacharana, correct? Where, because it starts as Vishnum Swam Vishnum Sharanam Prapadye. Like that it starts. So I take refuge in this Vishnu. Now this Mangalacharana verse, they say that it is not found in some manuscripts actually. So the scholars think that this is somebody else has inserted this verse later on because they wanted to introduce Mangalacharana. But the commentator has commented on this. Raghavananda has commented on this. Another thing is this initial verse is not in Aaryaa Chandas. It is actually in Trishtup Chandas. Okay. So you even when chanting, we can chant like that. Some verses in Bhagavad Gita are also in Trishtup, correct? Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha matta smriti jnanam apohanancha. Like this, we chant it in a different tune. Even here also you can chant Param Parasya Prakrite Ranadim Ekam Nivishtam Bahudha Guhasu Sarvalayam Sarvacharacharastham Swamiva Vishnum Sharanam Prapadye. Like this. So this verse is in Trishtup Chandas. It is not in the Aarya Chandas, but the text itself is known as Aaryaa-panchaasheeti, correct? 85 verses in the Aarya Chandas. So that is also another reason people think that this was inserted later on by whoever it is. But it is still there in some manuscripts, it is there, and whoever has published the book also, they all have published this verse. So we will look into this. In fact, the commentator says that this verse also introduces us uh, to the text by giving the Anubandha Chaturtaya. So, in the tradition, whenever we study any text, you are supposed to know four things about that text. Okay, those are called Anubandha Chaturtaya. The four things which are connected to the text. What are those four things? Is Vishaya. First, you should know what is the subject matter of the text. Right? Otherwise, there is no use. You won't even know what the text is about means. You may not have any interest, correct? So, the Vishaya is very important. Not only the Vishaya is important, the Vishaya, once you know, should give some prayojana. It should give you something. Some purpose also has to be there to study. The subject matter, when studied, should give you something. That is the prayojana. Then there has to be a sambandha also between the Vishaya and the prayojana, and also between the text and the Vishaya. Correct? The subject matter and the text should have a connection, and there has to be a connection between the subject matter and the purpose or the result of studying this. That is called sambandha. And then who is the adhikari? That is also important. The prerequisites to study this text. Who is qualified to study the text also is important. So these four things normally one should be aware of before one starts the study, we say. Now that is also, it is not directly given here, but the commentator is saying that that is also Suchita, or it is implicitly given in this Mangalacharana. So the Mangalacharana is addressed to Vishnu, means it is appropriate because we say Adi Sesha is the author, means Adi Sesha will obviously do prayer to Vishnu before he starts anything, correct? So here Vishnum Sharanam Prapadye means the Vishnu who is the Sagunam Brahma we have to take, correct? The Brahman, the limitless with a form, we say, or with qualities. That is Sagunam Brahma. But what is the nature of this Vishnu? We have to also understand. In fact, in the previous class, we analyzed the word Paramaartha Saara itself, correct? What is Paramaartha? The ultimate reality, or that which is ultimately sought after by everybody, correct? That is Paramaartha. And this text is supposed to be an essence of that reality or the ultimate purpose of life. Now, for everybody, what one is seeking is that one wants happiness. And what kind of happiness? I already told you. Unqualified happiness. Means I want to be happy all the time. I want to be happy everywhere. So I don't want any limitation with reference to space and time. I have to be always happy. I have to be happy everywhere. Means you are really seeking limitless happiness. Even though in reality everybody is seeking limitless happiness, they are all deluded. Why? Because you are seeking this limitless happiness in the limited objective world. Understand that your entire life you are seeking something in this objective world, and whatever you gain in this objective world, whether it is an experience or some object, it is always going to be limited because it is all gained as a result of your own action. All action is limited, finite, correct? Because it starts and it ends. When it gives a result, obviously that result also will start in time and it will end in time. So any result you achieve, it is going to be limited. But why are you seeking limited things when in reality you want the limitless happiness? What you really seek is the limitlessness. But you are still falling for the limited. That is what we call is delusion. Correct? It is moha. 99.99% of the people are in moha. They are all deluded, ignorant. Because first thing is, even though instinctively you are seeking something which is the limitless, but you consciously you do not recognize that properly, and then you are going and seeking something limited and still think that by attaining that limited somehow you are going to be happy forever. That is also the hope. That is what is fueling you all the time. Even after attaining some limited thing, you find out that it is not totally satisfactory to you. It's not going to make you ultimately satisfied. Do you stop there? Means no. Now you think, no, no, okay, this thing is okay, fine. It's not that good, but maybe that other thing is very good. So you again continue with something else. After achieving that, what? Again something else, something else, something else. Keep on going. That is what is samsara. Because of this delusion, you keep on going from one thing to another, to another, to another. It is an unending cycle. It's a vicious cycle. That is samsara, unfortunate. But then some people have viveka. Some people have the discriminatory knowledge that what I really seek is something else. But I am now falling for something else. Therefore, what do I do? Is there anything like limitless? In fact, there is another question also will come. Okay, I want limitless happiness. I really want limitlessness. In fact, I cannot accept any kind of limitation centered on myself, correct? That is the reality. Because the fundamental problem of every human being is one of self non-acceptance, we say, correct? What is the fundamental problem of everybody? Everyone's problem is that you are not able to accept yourself as you are. Why? Because in your own judgment, you look upon yourself as a limited being, wanting person. In whichever way you look at yourself, you are wanting. Okay. If I look at myself from the standpoint of physical body, strength, etc., I am very limited. This body will also go away. So you think that you are a mortal. You are born in time, you will die in time. That itself is a problem. There is no solution for that. Understand that. Whatever you may achieve, you have to die. That itself is a problem. Even while living also, what is the problem? Any which way you look at yourself, knowledge means very limited knowledge. The more and more you know, the more and more you know what you don't know also. That means ignorance also keeps on increasing with knowledge. What is the use then? Then enjoying, pleasure. I can only enjoy one thing at a time. Or I can be in only one place at a time to enjoy something. And whatever I enjoy also, there is a law of diminishing returns. First time I enjoy something, it is not the same thing the 100th time. It becomes boring. So you love something initially, later on you allow it to go away. Okay, love becomes allow finally. And then what? So knowledge also is limited, enjoyment also is limited, time wise limited, space wise limited. Whichever way I look at myself, only limitations, limitations, limitations. But I cannot accept myself as a limited wanting being. That is the problem. So what? Your fundamental problem is one of self non-acceptance. It continues. As long as you are not acceptable to yourself, you want to change yourself. That's why you keep engaging in some action in the hope that by gaining some result of action, you will somehow become acceptable to yourself. But that never happens. It will never happen also because limitlessness cannot be the result of any action. Understand that. That means limitlessness should already be there. This also we have seen, correct? Something, if it is really limitless, it should have been there, it should be there, it should be always. In fact, it should transcend time itself. It should be independent of time. Similarly, if something is really limitless, it has to be there everywhere, or it has to transcend space also. It has to be independent of space time. Then only it can be really limitless. If something is independent of space time, and also it is really limitless, it cannot leave you out also. If it is other than you also, it will become limited by you only. Therefore, the limitless has to include yourself, and therefore it cannot be, if it is there really, it cannot be other than you. Okay, it has to be you. If that is the case, why I do not know that? That is why the problem is one of ignorance, we say. If I am really the limitless, why I do not know means you do not know. There is no why. You cannot ask why for that. Suppose I ask you, do you know Chinese? If you say I don't know, I cannot ask why you do not know, correct? Or when did this ignorance start means that also you cannot say. It is always there. Ignorance is always like that, correct? It is there. There is no beginning for that. You cannot also ask why you do not know means you do not know. That is the reality. But it can come to an end. Knowledge can destroy ignorance. So ignorance, you do not know when it started, but it can come to an end with knowledge. So now we have to focus on this knowledge. Why you do not know, let us keep it aside. Why don't you try to know it now? That is why you are studying this text. That's why you are studying Vedanta. So here, when we come to Vedanta, first thing Vedanta says, what does it say? This limitless is there. Understand that? Because there are many philosophers are there. They say that no, there is nothing like limitless and all that. Okay, whatever is there here, you enjoy. Rinam kritva gritam pibet. Take loan and drink ghee. Enjoy. That's all you can do maximum. Okay. Bhasmi bhutasya dehasya punaragamanam kutaha. Once this deha is gone, dead, burn it, it is not going to come back. So why are you worrying? This deha alone is Atma. This is one view. Okay. But then the Shastra, the view of the Shastra is very different. Shastra says there is something, there is an Atma which is other than this body, mind, sense complex. Okay. That itself, Shastra only has to come and tell you. Understand? Because there is no consensus among the philosophers and the scientists. understand that different philosophers are speculating something. The scientists also don't have any consensus. In fact, they don't have any consensus even with reference to the mind. Forget the self. They, there are many scientists who say there is no mind. Everything is only some chemical reaction in brain. Then there are others who accept there is a mind other than other than physical matter. But we are talking about an Atma which is consciousness itself, which is other than even the mind and intellect and all that. Okay, that is the Shastra Drishti. So Shastra first it says there is a Deha Vyatirikta Atma. There is an Atma self which is other than the Deha. Deha here means all Deha, not just the physical Deha. Okay. Although you wrongly identify yourself with the physical body because you use the I, which is the reflexive pronoun, is used with reference to the body. But in reality, I can never be the body because there is also another principle I think I have told you already. Whatever I see, whatever I cognize cannot be I. I should be something other than what I know. Whatever is known can never be I because I is always the subject or the knower. Subject and object cannot be one and the same. Okay. If you take that principle and apply it to your own body, body is known to me, therefore body is not I. That means what is the nature of this I? That only the Shastra is trying to reveal it to you. So Shastra is a Shastra Darpana, we say. Shastra is like a mirror. I have to know myself now. I told you already, everybody takes oneself for granted, and all your life you are only seeking knowledge about the objective world. You take yourself for granted and suffer. But once you start analyzing the nature of yourself, the truth of yourself, one problem is what? You cannot know yourself as an object because you are the knower. Knower cannot become the known. The eye cannot see itself, correct? But if you want to see your own eyes, what do? You have to go and stand in front of the mirror. That is the only way you can see, correct? You cannot tell somebody, if you want to see your eyes, why are you looking outside? Why don't you look inside? Turn the eye inside and see yourself. Is it possible? It is not possible. Subject cannot be the object, but you can see the reflection of the subject. From the reflection, you can recognize what it is. Correct? That is the only way you can see. If you want to see the color of your own eyes, you have to stand in front of a mirror. Nobody can ask, why are you looking at the mirror? Like that here also, that mirror is the Shastra. Shastra is the Darpana. Shastra Darpanam we say. That's why. In fact, it is the only means of knowledge which can reveal ourselves to us. The nature of the subject can be revealed only by the Shastra, which is like a mirror, because the nature of the subject is not available to any other means of knowledge. So, because all other means of knowledge are only revealing the objective world through sense organs and all that, or inference, etc. But the very nature of the subject can only be revealed by the Shastra. And the Shastra also says that there is a limitless, and that limitless is not separate from you. That is the Vishaya of the Shastra. Now that is brought about in the first verse itself in the form of a Mangalacharana. So Vishnu, what is the meaning of Vishnu? Vyapnoti iti Vishnuhu we say. Correct? In general, Vishnu means one who pervades everything. The all pervading is called Vishnu. Even though we imagine Vishnu, correct? We visualize Vishnu as having Shanka, Chakra and all that, correct? 4 hands. In one hand he is having Shankam, Chakram, etc. But even in Vishnu Sahasranama, how do we do the dhyanam of Vishnu, correct? any Sahasranama or any Japa or any Puja we do, before that we have to visualize the Devata. Correct? Dhyanam is the first step. Then only even Avahanam we do in Puja. Or any Japa also you have to say the Dhyana Shloka first, visualize that Devata mentally, and then you do Puja or Japa, whatever. Now, even for Vishnu, what do you say? Bhoof Padav. Once Pada is Bhu, correct? And once the Antariksha itself is one's body, the head is there in the heaven and all. Like that only, and everybody is there. Antastham, Sura Nara Khaga Bho, Go, Bogi, Gandharva, Daitya. So all types of beings are there within him only. That's how we visualize Vishnu, even in Vishnu Sahasranama, Dhyana Shloka, if you see, Vishnu is the one whose pada is there in the Bhuloka, Antariksha is there in between his body, head is there in Swargaloka, etc. Means he, all the three lokas he pervades. All the beings are there in him only. So he is the all pervading Vishnu, limitless. Space wise, not only space wise limitless, but time wise also limitless. That will also come here. Anadim is there, correct? Param parasyaha prakritehe anadim. So one who does not have any beginning. One who does not have any beginning means one cannot have any end also. Understand that. Means one who is free from time itself. One who is all pervasive with reference to space. One who is all pervasive with reference to time also. That is the Vishnu who is the limitless. I take refuge in that Vishnu. Okay. So the Vishnu can be taken as one who has all these gunas. Like I told you, correct? One who has four hands, etc. Or even that you expand and say that one whose body itself includes everything, the entire universe. But even that Vishnu, who is Sagunam Brahma, we have to say, means that Vishnu only has to be also the cause of everything. Understand? The Vishnu has to be the cause of everything. Jagat Karanam Brahma is Vishnu. In fact, even Brahman itself is presented like that only, even in the Brahma Sutra, in the different Upanishads. Janmadhyasya yataha, like that there is a sutra is there in the Brahma Sutra. Janmadihi, from whom the creation of this world, etc. happened. Etc. means creation, sustenance and resolution also. So from whom the creation came, by whom the creation is sustained, in whom it goes back. Correct? Yato va imani bhutani jayante ye na jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhisambhishanti. Like that even the Taittiriya Upanishad says, Yato va imani bhutani jayante. From whom all these beings have come. Ye na jatani jivanti. By whom all these things are living, sustaining. Yat prayanti abhisambhishanti. Into whom everything goes back. Into whom everything resolves. That is Brahman. That is Vishnu for us. Now that Vishnu is not only the nimitta karana. Understand that. Whenever we talk about a cause, there are two types of cause, at least we have to say. There are many more types of causes also. The Nayayikas and all, they discuss that. But broadly, we say there are two types of cause. One is called nimitta karana. Okay. Nimitta karana means what? In English, you can say intelligent cause. Because of which something has come. Like the potter. So there is a pot. How did the pot come means? Only because of the potter, the pot is there. Without the potter making the pot, pot cannot come into the being, correct? But then when you buy the pot, does the potter come along with the pot means no. Potter is separate, pot is separate. So nimitta karana will not be there always along with the effect, which is the pot in this case. Then what is the cause which is always there? Wherever the effect is present, which cause is present? That is called upadana karana. Okay, upadana karana. Generally in English, the upadana is translated as material cause, but this material cause also is a problem. Understand that. Because material means they think something solid and etc. like that. It's really matter. In fact, in our worldview, there is no real matter at all. Understand that. So something need not be material to cause an effect or to be there. That's why some people make a very different kind of translation. They say proximate cause, which is a better translation, I think, frankly. Because many people get confused by translating it as material cause. Proximate cause is better because even the definition in Sanskrita is wherever you find the karya, whichever karana is there. Correct? That is the upadana karana. Now, in the case of the whole world, in the case of the pot, nimitta karana and upadana are different, correct? Pot can be made up of clay or gold or whatever, metal, different metals, etc. Whatever may be the upadana, the nimitta is separate, upadana is separate. But for this entire srishti, can it be like that? Means no. For the entire srishti, there is only one cause. Ekam also is there here. Anadim Ekam. In fact, before that only the Nimitta Karanatvam is coming as Param Parasyaha Prakritehe. So the Prakriti word is used here. The word Prakriti or Pradhana is also used by the Sankhya Darshana also. In the Sankhya Darshana also the word is used. In fact, is used extensively in the Bhagavad Gita. In the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan introduces this Prakriti. भूमिरापो नलो वायुः कं मनो बुद्धिरेव च अहंकार इति यम्मे भिन्ना प्रकृतिरष्टधा. He says this prakriti itself is in the form of 8 things, and in fact it evolves from the most subtle to the most gross. So Bhagavan starts from bhumir apaha and all that, correct? Because in our srishti creation model we have a 5 elemental model. Okay, of course in chemistry all of you would have studied. There is a periodic table and there are more than 100 elements nowadays. Okay, it keeps on increasing also. But for our purposes, to understand the creation, a 5 elemental model is easier, better. How do we look at it traditionally? Bhumihi means earth. You start with the earth, all solids, correct? Then apaha, all liquids, water, etc. Apaha. Then agnihi, all energy, fire, agni. Then you have this wind also, correct? Or air or gas, all gaseous things. So, Vayu. Then Akasha, space is the one which gives accommodation to everything, correct? Avakasha Pradatra Akashaha, like that we say. That which accommodates everything, the space-time. Because everything is there in the space-time, the space, Akasha. Now, all these are created for us, understand? They are all called Mahabhutani also, the great elements. Everything else is an elemental, including your own body. The physical body also has all these constituents. So physical body is an elemental. But in our creation model, it doesn't stop with the physical creation. Understand that. The gross world or the physical world, it does not stop there. Our creation model is a complete model. That means we also take care of the prana and the manas and the buddhi, etc. So those are all called subtle. So individually there is a physical body and subtle body. In totality also there is a physical world and the totality of all the pranas, all the mind, etc. That is all sukshma jagat also is there. We say all these things have come from these 5 elements, and that's why ahankara etc. is there. Buddhi, avyakta, etc. We say that avyakta or the unmanifest is the starting point. Then from there, there is an idea that I the I with reference to the totality is born. That is the Ahankara, Mahat and all that we say. So there is a eightfold way of looking at this Prakriti. Okay. So the Avyakta, Mahat, Ahankara, like that it comes. Because the total buddhi is there. In that buddhi, an I thought is born. And from there again, all the 5 elements, etc. are born. Individual bodies are born. Then there is an identity in the individual bodies also. As I. So the I which you are placing in your individual body, the Devatas, we say, have also an I, but which is all like in totality. In fact, the word Devata also we have to understand correctly. Any phenomenon in the world is associated with the Devata for us, always. Adhisthana Devata. So if you say seeing, sight is a phenomenon, understand. Sight is not only there in your eyes, sight is there in all the eyes. Sight is not only there in human eyes, it is there even in insect eyes, bird eyes, animal eyes. In fact, some of that sight is also different in its nature. But sight is there in so many countless places. So sight as a phenomenon, when you look at it as totality, there has to be a Devata who is functioning. And that Devata is Aditya Devata, we say. Aditya is the Devata. The same Ishvara looked upon from the standpoint of a phenomenon which is there in countless places, correct? Totality is the Devata. So we say that Devata is functioning wherever sight happens, that Devata is the one who is functioning, because even sight is not something we do consciously. Understand that. Sight happens. So many things are happening in your body. All that is happening because of the Devata, we say. Devata also is an Amsha of Ishvara only for us, with reference to a particular phenomena. So the Ishvara, who is the cause of everything, is both Nimitta and Upadana for us. That is what we say, Abhinna Nimitta Upadana. Ishvara is both the intelligent cause and the one who appears, or one who is manifest as this very world itself for us. That is the only way, in fact, you can make sense. Otherwise, you will face all kinds of logical problems also. If you say there is a separate Ishvara who created the world which is separate, means world itself will limit the Ishvara, then Ishvara will no more be limitless. Understand that. Or who, and and also if Ishvara created this world, means where did Ishvara get the material? All these problems will also come. Ishvara cannot even borrow it from somebody else, because then who is that person who created the original material? All these questions also is intractable, really speaking. That's why we say Ishvara appears as this world. Ishvara is manifest as this world. In fact, there is no real creation for us. Understand that. For the Vedantins, the cause itself appears as the effect. That's all. The effect is non-different from the cause. And that is what is said here also by the very word Vishnu, and also Param Parasyaha Prakritehe. Means Prakriti, I said, is eightfold, which also has within it, in fact, there is a Para Prakriti, Apara Prakriti, like that also Bhagavan talks about even in the Gita. But here Prakriti itself can be taken as Para, means which is the cause of everything, the Avyakta. But this Atma is even greater than that, it is Param. Even in the Kathopanishad also it is said, Sa Kashta, Sa Para and all that. This Purusha is greater than even the totality of all the cause of everything. The totality, the causes of everything, it is even greater than that, because Prakriti also is looked upon as Jada or insentient. The sentiency, who gives the sentiency to the Prakriti or the cause of everything? That has to be the Purusha, who is consciousness itself. Or we say that the Shakti and Shaktimat cannot be different. This is also one of the things which is said in the Shastra, which is what? The one who has the power to manifest, power to create, sustain and dissolve, that power cannot be separated from the one who has the power. Shakti and Shakti Mat. The power and the one who wields the power, the Maya, Mayavi, we say. That's why even in the Gita, Bhagavan says Mama Maya. Okay. Mama Maya, Duratyaya, and all that he says. So this Maya, Shakti, with which Bhagavan is creating everything, it is not separate from Bhagavan. Bhagavan and Bhagavad Shakti are one and the same. In Kalidasa says the same thing. Vagartha viva sampriktav, he says. They are like the word and its meaning, it is inseparable. Jagatah pitarav vande. So if you look upon the same class as mother, it is Upadana is mother always, correct? Because your body comes from your mother's body. So if you look upon the same Ishvara as Upadana Karana, it is mother. But if you look upon the same Ishvara as Nimitta Karana, it is father. We have no problem with mother, father and all that. You know, for us, God is not some father sitting in the heaven always. In fact, the word father itself is meaningless without mother, correct? Father is a relative word. If father is there without mother means he has to be a widower, poor fellow. And what happened to the mother, we don't know. In fact, my Guruji used to say, mother passed away while delivering the world. Like that, he used to make a joke. So these theologies are really joke only, because if you ask a few questions, there is no answer. Here we don't have any problem. Father, mother, whichever way you want, you can relate with the cause of this world, who is giving everything to us, correct? Because the entire world is given to you. You did not do anything. Right from the day you are born, everything is given to us. Means who is the giver then? We have to recognize the giver, correct? That giver is Bhagavan, who is limitless. That's what the Shastra is presenting here, who is also greater than even the entire cause of this world, who is the Shakti Mat, who is wielding the power with which this entire city has come about, from which, so who is Param Parasyaha Prakriti, who is greater than the Prakriti, which is eightfold, from which this entire creation has come, but who is also one, Ekam, Anadi, who is beginningless, because Bhagavan itself cannot have beginning. Means he is uncaused cause, we say. Because the cause effect itself is part of creation only, understand? It is also very much part of the creation. You cannot extend it beyond the creation. The one who is the cause of the entire creation, that person is uncaused or is not subjected to time, because space-time also is created for us, understand? Even 150 years back, scientists thought that space-time is absolute. So if you go by the scientific knowledge of at that time, you would have rejected our Shastra. But Shastra is very clear. Tasmad etasmad atmanaha akasha sambhutaha, we say, correct? Akasha came from this Atma. Akasha is created. There Bhashyakara also writes, Kalasyapi Karanam Brahma. That's why it is Ananta. So this Brahman is the cause of space-time, which is very well known to us. For us, space-time also is created. So Bhagavan is beyond space-time, limitless really. So something which is beyond space-time, which is limitless, cannot have any divisions. So Ekam means Ekam eva Advitiyam we have to take. It is one, only one, without any divisions in it. There is no division in it internally. There is no anything other than it externally also. Or there is no second Bhagavan. So we say Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata Bheda Rahitaha, one who does not have any difference, etc. All difference you see is only an appearance. It's all Maya. That is how we say. Okay. That is why, even though he is only one, but he appears as many. Nivishtam Bahuda Guhasu, one who has entered into all these different. Guha here is Buddhi only. Your own Buddhi is called a Guha, because that is where your delusion is there. You don't have Viveka. If you don't have the Viveka, the Buddhi itself is like a cave. Because within a cave, even if something is there, you do not know what it is. The Guru only has to come and show Aarati. See, even our Garbhagriha in the temple is like a Guha only. It represents your Buddhi Guha. If there is no light there, you cannot see anything. Even though Bhagavan is sitting there really, you do not know Bhagavan is there. Then when do you know? Only when the Aarati is shown, correct? When the light is shown, then you know that Bhagavan is there. Otherwise, you know something is there, but you don't know what it is. That is the Aviveka. That is the problem, in fact. So in your own Buddhi Guha, Bhagavan has entered and he is available to recognize, but you do not recognize that. That is the ignorance we talk about. So that Bhagavan who is Sarvalayam Sarvacharacharastham also. So who is also the Alaya means what? Basically, Parasyaha Prakritehe Param shows that Bhagavan is Nimitta Karana because Bhagavan is the Shakti Mat or the wielder of the Shakti and all that. But what about the Upadana means Bhagavan is also the Upadana. That is why Sarvalayam means one who is the abode, one in whom everything is there. But not only that, one who is there in everything also. Everything is there in Bhagavan and Bhagavan is there in everything. Both ways you have to understand. Then only it is like the pot is nothing but the clay, correct? In every pot, every clay pot, clay is the only thing which is really there. So all pots are in clay and clay is there in each and every thing which is made up of clay, correct? That is what is said here. Sarvalayam means everything which you see here for which Alaya is Bhagavan only, correct? The abode or the locus or where they are really is in Bhagavan. And also Bhagavan is there in everything. Like the clay is there in each and everything which is the effect of clay. Like that, this entire world is nothing but Bhagavan for us. That Vishnu I take Sharanam. So if you look at it like that, in the same verse, both the Saguna aspect as a Vishnu but the reality of Vishnu is also presented here as Ekameva Advitiyam, who is the Jagat Srishti Sthiti Laya Karana, Jagat Karanam Brahma is that Vishnu, and that Brahman is Ekameva Advitiyam, Anadi, not subjected to space time, and also the one who is conscious of everything, that Vishnu Twam Iva. So the one who is appearing as all these things as though appearing, we have to say that Vishnu I take refuge, because you have to take refuge in the limitless alone. If you take yourself as the limited, then you can never accept yourself. So what do I do? Real Sharanagati is I give up all my limitations. The I thought in each and every limited thing you give up. Whatever is left behind is the limitless, which is yourself in fact. So if you give up, you do Sharanagati means what? You surrender everything limited. In fact, it's not even really you. You surrender all limitations and discover yourself as the limitless. You are the only one who is there really. That is the real Sharanagati. And in fact, even in Gita, Bhagavan says, correct, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Mam there is not Mr. Krishna or anything. Mam there is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma alone. There also Bhagavan means that Brahman, who is the Jagat Karanam, Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam, I take refuge in that Brahman as myself. Correct? That Brahman is not separate from me. I take refuge in that knowledge. And in that knowledge, I actually surrender all limitations. Let it be with Bhagavan only. Really speaking, Bhagavan only is appearing as all these things. But I am the conscious being who is the limitless being, who is separate really, in whom all these things are appearing. And that is my very nature. Once you know that, the prayojana is that you are free from all limitation. So the Vishaya Prayojana comes from this first verse itself. Vishaya is to show you the reality, your reality as this Jagat Karanam Brahma, and by knowing that you gain freedom from all limitations. That is moksha really. That is what you really seek also. And the Sambandha also is implicit. The text is revealing this subject matter. And the adhikari is one who is interested to know this. Unless you have interest to know this, nobody can teach you. Understand that. That is why we have a knowledge sampradaya, correct? Ours is a jnana parampara. I cannot preach Vedanta on the road. Unless you come and join the class and ask me that I want to learn, I cannot teach you. That's why even Krishna could not teach it to Arjuna unless he asked for it. This knowledge can only be given for the asking. You have to ask, you have to have the interest. Once you have the interest, you will cultivate all other prerequisites, you can cultivate it. That is the sadhana part. Okay, but first you should have interest to know. Who is the adhikari? One who is interested to know the truth of oneself. That person is the adhikari. So that way here the Anubandha Chatushtaya also comes out in this verse. Next verse we will see next week. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.